Have you ever played a video game that you thought was so hard you were going to rip your hair out? Either because you died hundreds of times or, well, you found yourself lacking in some skilled areas that you find yourself in your greatest moments. I can't help but remind myself that when I die in Hotline Miami, or I get crushed by a boss in Elden Ring or Dark Souls or Sekiro, wow, where the game could choose to let me win, it chooses to make me lose. At least until I've learned something. I've learned specific ways to avoid threats and dangers. There are a lot of tiny life skills that I feel like that can be earned and learned from different video games. With Hotline Miami, there's adaptability and flexibility. From any Dark Souls game, it's all about how you confront your problem, with how much you've worked up to get to that huge problem. And in any other game, it usually speaks about resource management, about how you should avoid specific enemies, how they might be your doom if you actually try and pursue them at your level. I feel like that's the whole point. And I feel like that's the greatest part of playing tough video games. You're finding yourself in a world where you're the loser. And because of that, you make yourself the winner. Whether it's through high score, learning all the boss attacks, whether it's through making sure that you yourself are actually beyond comprehension when it comes to skill, to the point where you can have people looking at you in awe saying, how do you do that? What's going on in your mind that's not going on in my mind that sets us both apart? And when it comes to that, it almost feels like what sets people apart is how they think about it, how they think about themselves, and how they can think about those different obstacles that they can achieve and overcome. What truly matters is that you get there eventually, because once you're a winner once, it stays there forever, embellished in these tiny moments where you die. What could I have done better to stop this? What else could I have done? That become a part of yourself when you're playing those hard games, whether or not you actually mean to. They're like a therapy for the parts that your brain holds on to, the ones that you can't let go of and that are detrimental to you. And because of that, I find that you can't really look inside of video games for the next step in life. It won't give you direction, but if you already have the direction, if you truly knew what you were to do in Dark Souls, you would never die. Except to maybe Sif. So what's most important? Becoming the best player or simply getting through it? What I see in the game is really what I see in myself. The rise to meet and triumph different obstacles and occasions. It's beautiful. It's almost like that's what they wanted from you. Because how can you actually feel accomplished if you haven't actually accomplished anything? Like, getting over it. All that you're really learning is different life lessons, how to maneuver a sledgehammer over specific rocks and launch yourself towards other different landings. There's nothing beyond how can you overcome that which you don't want to face. And because of that, you will find yourself waiting and losing if you can't actually face your problems head on. It's all a part of a profession to bully players into actually becoming better people. I mean, I would hate to be a Cuphead journalist. That's a part of what hard games are all about. If you can get past whatever challenge or obstacle is thrown at you, obviously you're adaptive, flexible, and you're willing to change in order to meet your goals. Clear any one obstacle or fix ourselves in any type of one way, then we have become better. I'll leave it at this. When you're reaching the end of a game, one that's hard, that either because it took a lot of skill or because you had to, at what point have you mastered something so much that that hard thing has become easy and now it's time to master something else? learn or create something that'll be
remembered forever.
And if you think about it, hard games are supposed to be formative for that exact reason. When you're watching Simple flick a headshot or you're watching Get Right actually do something on the field, they're doing perfectly, exactly what they want their body to do. They're in the zone. And because of that, you can see how their mind formulates, how it works quickly, and how it's going to continue to work quickly. In a way, it's almost like we see hard games as this form of catharsis of intelligence. How we see everyone who does well in every single video game, it's a high adaptability that we don't see with many other people. Now, what exactly is so mystical and magical about someone being able to flick to a headshot or exactly pinpoint their way to a target? I don't know, but what I do know is that it's interesting. You get to see how a mind works, and in a way, you get to be a part of it, because you're there with it. When you think about being good at hard games, what do you think about exactly? Is it the precision? Is it general game knowledge? Is it stratagem? What exactly do you think about when you see someone make an amazing play? And now, it's all you can really think about. What exactly is part of that that becomes attractive to human nature, where we see someone winning, their success, or even some of their failures, like Summit 1G, that we become attached to them, where we see them want to become more than even themselves, where we view them becoming almost grander than life, where they've now become empowered by it, only to gain a reputation that may be lost later. Why do we look up so intensely to pros and esports athletes that can do amazing feats, but also amazing blunders? What exactly is the part of the brain that shares love for the game, but also love for flexibility, for adaptability, and how much of that is related to hard games, first-person shooters, puzzle games that stretch your imagination and your thinking to its widest depths, or something like a survival game that constantly tests how you approach any situation? I can't say for sure, but all I really know is that throughout playing games and going throughout life, both of these feel like the same type of problem solving. You're getting through obstacles that almost seem so easy to a point that they're natural, and sometimes there are bosses within it that will tear you down and that you have to get past, or else you'll be forced to live it over and over and over at a high level and see the mental calculus that's going on. What exactly do you think you would see? Would it be basic parabola, or would it actually be someone focusing on 3 different points at once while calculating the way at which a missile travels through the air and the trajectory of that, and whether or not they have to mitigate their targets and change their routes and stratagem to better fit the battlefield? And with all that, why can't we ourselves, normal people, doing the same way, by learning the same way, by doing the same practices as pros, become like them? Well, when you're watching someone, when you're truly watching someone, what exactly is that beautiful moment that you see when they're playing? Is it when they're flicking? Is it when they have fantastic movement? Is it when they use their utility in such a way that makes you think, I never thought about that? Because to me, it all seems exactly the same. Your brain is taking in as much information as it can and working out this different, huge branching path and seeing what it can do right now. And that's almost the beauty of pros like Get Right, Simple, or hell, even Summit 1G when he was playing. Because when they blunder, it's almost as beautiful as their plays. And in a way, isn't that technically all there is? I've talked about how much video games can be flexibility makers for people, or even just a way to test out difficulty, like Elden Ring or Dark Souls or Demon Souls. But at what point do we stop and remember that games are for fun as much as they are as a test of obstacles. If you aren't having fun in your test of obstacles, maybe it's because you don't want to be flexible. You don't want to actually think about things in different lights or different perspectives. And I'm not talking in Concord's way. I mean superliminally.
What do you mean by that?